Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Fairleigh, Vermont at Bhakti Stock, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to beautiful Vermont. And we feel the seasons changing. We are supposed to cancel this morning because I'm supposed to be teaching yoga right now at this Bhakti festival. But we had such a fun show yesterday that we decided, so many nice people showed up. We have about 50-ish people here live. We thought we'd do it again today. And so we did a last minute shout out to all our regular Zoomers, but now we got another 50 live. Say what's up, everybody, live. Say Harry. Did you hear that with these specialty microphones?
No.
No, Mara's like, nope, sound like nothing. Forget it. Don't even try. But everybody said Harry Bowl really loud, basically, for those listening out there. And it's Q&A day. If you're listening to this on Facebook, questions and answers day. We usually do every Saturday, but today, because we have such a nice group live, we're going to call up people live to ask questions about their spiritual path. And we're going to try to answer them using the context and the framework of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the gold standard of the Bhakti literature, the Bhakti Shastras. And I'm excited for the show. Kaustubha, Mara, welcome. How are you?
We're doing fine.
Good. Mara, all good?
Great.
Got an announcement for us, Mara?
Yeah, well, today is Karuna's 9th birthday.
Karuna, a dedicated Zoomer, 8 years old, listens every day,
9
knows
years old.
100 slokas, and she just turned 9 years old, and a fantastic kirtan leader.
Mm-hmm.
She should be leading this whole Bhakti stock thing. I could be your manager, Karuna. You and me could go far. Happy birthday, Karuna. She's at the beach and she's still listening to the Bhagavatam. Amazing. Is that it for announcements?
There's also a Bhakti recovery group meeting at 9:30 a.m. this morning, and the Urban Devi meeting is at 11 a.m. through the Bhakti Center.
Okay, alrighty. That's fantastic. All right, and we're back on tomorrow at 6 a.m. And if you'd like to join us live, you can do it. Wisdom of the Sages 108@gmail.com. Mara will send you the Zoom codes, and then we can all join together. Excited for this week. It's back to school tomorrow. The kids are going back to school. Got to get in that mode. Okay, you guys are like not even responding here. Okay, here we go. Shall we go right into questions, Kaustubha?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Well, we got some questions, and today, our first question is from Wednesday. Wednesday, come on down. Wednesday is from New Jersey, Jersey Shore-ish. Welcome.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning, Wednesday.
So my question is,
Wait a second, Wednesday.
We gotta
What's
get
your
a picture here.
First, we want to
Raghunath,
know your story here.
You got to
What's
move over a little bit, Raghunath. Let her in.
Okay.
There we
Let her
go.
in.
where am I at? Where am I looking?
You're cool. You're right in there.
Oh,
You
there
can't
I
really
am.
see it.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'll put you on speaker view. So Wednesday, what's your story? How'd you get into all this stuff in your spiritual path? How long have you listened to the podcast?
I listened to the podcast for probably over a year. I got into it because of beautiful Monica Walsh. She saw
Monica
some She saw something in me and was like, come on, let's go. We're doing it. And ever since I've been hooked.
I also found out that Wednesday is a pastry chef. And she trained a trained pastry chef, and then she gave it up because she wasn't satisfied. And now you do like statistics or accounting or number things. And I said, you know what? Maybe you weren't satisfied. The opposite of pastry chefing. Now I said, maybe you weren't satisfied because you weren't offering those to Krishna and the devotees. So I said, you have to come to Super Soul for a weekend and there's no payment. You're going to do this just out of love. You're going to cook for all the devotees, all your pastries. I was like, can you make a cannoli? She's like, oh, that's nothing. I was like, really? How about a Napoleon? Nah, it's nothing. Nothing. She can make all these things without eggs. And she's going to come and serve the devotees in Krishna.
Absolutely. Yes, I am.
Nice.
Harry Ball.
Harry Ball.
It's pastry weekend. That's the theme. It's like sort of maybe we could do that like a Ashram Week 2.0 pastries.
Sounds good.
I'm for it. I'm here for it.
Okay. So what's your question today?
Okay. So mine's kind of like a two-part question. My question is, how do you navigate in a world of loneliness? And maybe I'm just saying that because I don't know how to accept help from others. So that's my.
You meant yesterday you framed it loneliness because like you're making spiritual choices and a lot of your old community just sort of can't relate to you.
Yeah, and they all fell off. Yeah.
Hmm.
How do you navigate in that?
Kostub, you want to go first? With
Okay.
this?
That's a very sincere question, and there's so many things we could say about this. I think maybe the first thing we could say is that, on all the yoga paths, commonly emotions, like when it comes to emotions, we understand that we have some scars. We have these very deep within our subconscious mind. There's all these impressions, and those impressions are invested with emotional content as well. And so these impressions from time to time rise to the the level of our awareness, and we feel an emotion, and we know that physically that's corresponding with the release of chemicals within the body and within the brain, and altogether we get this emotional feeling. And the idea is that yogis, they don't identify with the emotions, but they observe the emotions, right? Which may sound a little cold and a little Spock-like, but it's actually really helpful and valuable to be able to do that. It's actually a tremendous relief if, rather than feeling like I am lonely, we can feel like I'm watching loneliness manifest in my awareness. I'm not lonely, but this feeling, it's a temporary feeling, it arises and then it departs. But I can sit here and observe it, distance myself from it, and watch it, and then watch it come and watch it go. So even just that is, it's not necessarily simple and like when you're really feeling it, strong emotionally, it's like it may not be enough for a lot of people. For some people, they might be like, that's just all I needed was to look at it like that. But within Bhakti, you can kind of look at your whole life in one sense kind of becomes this romance, where you're kind of coming back to this divine romance that you have with Krishna. And you're going to have to, just like in any film about romance or something, there's always obstacles that need to be overcome. There's always going to be some, it wouldn't be a true romance, if there wasn't something, that some difficult obstacles to overcome on the course of it. And so again, another way of zooming out and looking at it is, if you could look at your life from now until, let's say, at the end of life, and by that time, we're making this lifetime project of, I want to develop that Krishna, I want that to be blessed with Krishna prema by the end of it. So then you're going to have these obstacles. Some of them may be emotional, some of them may be practical, even financial. Some of them, may be physical. Some, different challenges will be there. And I can understand how this can be a challenging one, like especially early on, that like it doesn't seem like anyone gets me. That loneliness is a can be seen as a tremendous blessing, because without it, you might not actually turn within. You know, if everything without is in constant motion, you know, then your conscious, your awareness just stays focused there. But when you feel that loneliness and there's no one else to talk to, maybe only then do we turn and talk to God within our own heart, and that creates an intimacy. So it's like, Krishna, everybody left me but you. And you finally begin to communicate with God, because really we should be communicating all the time with God. We should that should be a conversation that's happening all the time. It's only these deep mystics that are kind of there all the time, and a little loneliness may be just the formula that one needs to begin to turn within a little bit. So you know, there's things, you know, I think try to one, don't be overwhelmed with it. Understand that it's temporary. It's not you. It's something that you can observe, but it's an opportunity to develop an intimacy with God within your own heart, within your own mind, and you develop prayer, to open up that conversation. And Krishna, at any you know, and you can pray, Krishna, I need your devotees as my friends. That's a pure prayer. That the great souls pray for that. I just want, no matter what happens to me, I just want to be with your devotees. I want to serve them. And I'm sure Krishna will answer your prayers. It may be a little longer than we want, but maybe that's what we need to. I mean, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts, Raghunath.
Well, you know, when I got into Bhakti, I really started getting into it when I was 22. I was surrounded by people. I was in a band. We were always playing performances, traveling city to city. And even when we were back home, we had like a huge crew of friends we would hang out with. But because my spiritual calling was getting louder within inside me, I'd have this very, very real feeling of being completely alone in a crowd. Like, it doesn't matter, because the conversation is staying on the surface, the intimacy is staying on the surface, and I just had a calling for something much deeper. And then it was at that point where I realized, you know what, there's a value in being alone. There's a value in sitting with myself. There's a value to be the one that comforts me. Like, I'll be the one that's going to comfort me. And to be alone, but not lonely. Whereas I can be around a lot of people and be very, very lonely. And so then I went through this period of just self, you know, choosing a little bit of isolation. At the same time, it's not like you say, okay, I'm going to party, or I'm going to be a miserable little hermit. You know, that doesn't have to be the option. There is a positive side to, like, just the you know, the Miami party scene. You know what I mean? There's either I'm in the Miami party scene. I always think of like a party. I would picture Miami, because it's always like there's always a party going on in Miami. If anybody's from Miami out there, but it's got this like pumping music.
Is it on a boat? Is this party on a boat, Raghunath?
It's on a boat. There's spring break. There's people in bikinis, and everyone's got a perfect body, and everyone's tan. And anyway, so it's not like there's that, and then there's like me sitting alone, sad, but spiritual. That's not the only two options. Like, we party. Like, when we get together, we party. You know, we have a kirtan today. We party. We eat wonderful food. We party. We sing. We dance. We party. It's a party. It's just an upgraded party. And so there are people. And by the way, even in a party, it's not like you're going to know everybody in that party. Even within the spiritual life, you're going to have a very close circle of friends. Hey, Krishna sent you Monica. She's a special soul, you know. And so we'll get a few people, a handful. I don't have thousands of friends, but I like people, and I invite people. But you know, you're still gonna choose who exclusively you want closer to you. Right. You just raise the bar a little. That's understandable. Whenever you want to get great at something, you're going to have to raise the bar, and you're going to have to narrow the doorway of who you let in, right? So I think you're doing good. And I think consider yourself part of our community, and Yeah, you have to
You got
just
a lot of friends now.
you got a lot of friends. You got at least 10,000 people want to be your friend. They want to eat your cannolis. Yeah.
That's a one sure path.
Yeah, you want to make friends, you start giving out cannolis. You start giving out. You're gonna be friends real soon. Was that any good?
That was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Where do you live, Wednesday?
I live in New Jersey.
Where
Mhm.
in Jersey?
A little town, kind of a big town called Turnersville. It's down by the shore.
Okay, down by the
South-
shore. Oh,
South
lots of nice
Jersey.
devotees down there.
Yeah, there's a whole Bhakti
Hook you
town.
up. We're
Yeah,
gonna hook you up with some people.
we're gonna hook you up with
Thank
some. There's
you,
people.
thank you.
Okay, Wednesday. Thank you. That was beautiful.
Yeah,
Cannolis.
Napoleon.
It's gonna be my last thing. I'm gonna the spirit soul is gonna be leaving. I've over lust, greed, anger, envy. I've conquered everything. My soul is leaving through the material universes, through the higher planets, and then one of the last. The
planet of cannolis.
The planet of cannolis. So, Raghunath, do you want pure Krishna prema, pure love of God, or a cannoli? The fork in the road. Everyone's cheering me on. Choose pure love of God, Raghunath.
And you're thinking, I can offer the cannolis before.
Can I offer the cannoli to God? Mara's at the bottom going, you'll never offer it. You're just going to take a bite of it. I know you. Oh, Krishna.
All right, Raghunath. What's next?
All
Who's
right,
next?
let's bring on straight from Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah. Our
Please
favorite
welcome
Scrantonian.
Sierra. Come on, Sierra. How are you?
Great, how are you?
Welcome. Join us.
Thank you.
Sierra, I felt like I
Well,
just was
morning.
with you the other day.
I know. Well, we were, and now I'm here. It's amazing.
Great.
It's been a great weekend, and with all of you guys, it feels so good. And so, I guess my question is.
Wait a
after-
second.
Okay,
Hold
okay.
it.
I just want to jump the gun.
Pause. No, I appreciate that. We wanted to get to know you a little better.
Okay.
So, how long you been listening to the show?
About 2.5 years, my yoga teacher introduced me to the podcast. And ever since, I started from the beginning and like 7 shows a day, nonstop, because I needed to.
Nice.
Do we do 7 shows a day?
Well, no, but
it's
in
hard
order
to
to
set
catch
them.
up, it was pretty dedication.
Mhm.
Like, are you doing another podcast without me, Costuba?
No.
That's what
So yeah, since then I've just been hooked ever since. And then, I went to FDR Park with you last year, and it seems like lifetimes ago. It doesn't even
Yeah.
seem like a year of like being in the community, like in it, and that's when I met Monica. And yeah, it's just amazing. I'm so grateful for everybody.
We learned that you had an incredible talent too, which
Oh,
was
yeah.
desperately needed in Raghunath's super soul realm.
Yes, I have a cleaning service, and it's so nice to be able to allow to, do something that offers, cleanliness of space that gives us so much peace of mind.
Do you like
it's such a
cleaning?
beautiful.
I love cleaning.
You know,
love it.
That's great.
It's such a beautiful relationship we have because
I'm
she
just-
cleans and I make a mess wherever I go.
It works perfect.
Yes, that's okay. I have one of those at home too, so it's fine.
My wife is kind of like that too, though. She the routine of it, and she
Prabhu, you are so Costuba. Who are you kidding? You're like the cleanest guy I've ever met.
Well, that's because my.
Let
wife
me
is
just
cleaning
tell you
the
about
whole place.
Costuba. Me and Costuba when we were younger, traveling around India. I'm like, my clothes is just like a mess. They're rags. I hate washing clothes.
That
So I'm
was
just
about-
like dipping them in water,
That's what you
throwing
would do.
them
That
over.
was your idea of washing
throwing over
clothes.
clothes
in
like
India, just
I'm
dip 'em in water and hang 'em
unshaven.
up.
Costuba in the middle of the jungle, his dhoti is perfectly. There's not a wrinkle. How do you iron your dhotis in the jungle?
I didn't iron my dhotis. When you hang them out to dry, they dry nice and it was fine.
Why weren't mine were always filled with wrinkles?
I don't know what you're doing, Raghunath.
He was well shaved. He was put together. I always looked like I was homeless when I was brahmachari.
Okay. Anyway.
I still got that.
Anyway,
right.
I'll say the Sierra's great. Like she just gets in there and she just starts digging in, and she's got this positive attitude. People that
He's got
get
a positive attitude.
yeah,
She's got a
people that
positive-
get it when you do cleaning as devotional service, as a practice of bhakti, you walk away feeling uplifted. It's like you're it's like Prabhupada used to say, it's like you're cleaning you're cleaning the heart when you're
Cleansing the heart.
cleansing the heart.
Yeah,
Really.
I can see. Look at her. She's bright. She's shiny.
she is. She's got a great attitude. Okay, what's your question, Sarah?
So after a weekend like this, like I feel so good. And when I get back into the material world, it's like whiplash. So I want to ask, like, how can I integrate like Bhakti principles and also like maintain my spiritual life without allowing like the demands of the material world keeping me away from that. Like I let my material demands take precedent over my spiritual practices. So yeah, trying to
Get it.
trying to like not just do one small thing. I'm like, okay, is a small thing enough, or do I have to do the whole thing? You know? So I'm trying to just balance the two.
Good question. You want to start, Rugga?
Sure. You know, I like to sandwich my day.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You know, sandwich my day. Sandwich my day with morning, you know, have a morning time that's sacred time. Don't have a morning day where sometimes we wake up, we're like, we're in it already. Get the kids' lunches, get them out the door. Don't have a morning like that. Put some, and if you have to have a morning like that, come on, 10 minutes. You can wake up 10 minutes earlier. Give it 10 minutes. Give it 20 minutes. Give it 30 minutes. Give some time in the morning that's sacred time. Then you got to drag the kids to school, drive to work, whatever. Place something sacred in the car while you're driving. Why not?
Tips.
Right?
Okay.
It's going to affect the kids. Play some kirtan. Have the kids singing kirtan all day. Play kirtan in the car. It's like take advantage of this crazy age that we live in, where we're not riding horses around to get to somewhere. You're going to ride in a car. Okay, you know, put some CDs in the car or digital music or whatever, Spotify. That's another thing. And then, of course, we got to work. We got to survive. We got to live in this world. You know, we got to deal with kids and shuffling them back around, back and forth. The Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, baseball, etc. Evening time, keep it sacred. Sometimes when you get home from work, there's the tendency, because it's dominated by the tamaguna, the evening time. So the tendency is, I'm going to get home, I'm going to put on the TV, I need to unwind, I'm going to kick back, I'm going to, you know, drink a beer, whatever it is. Don't let Tama take control of the consciousness now. Now's the time to bring it back higher. End your day on a high note. Have the last thoughts of your day should be divine thoughts. And then you sandwich it in. And what's going to happen is you're going to be like a mother cow. And the mother cow is eating the grass. We use this analogy a lot. And even the course of the day, whatever your work be in the workplace, you're going to have this, the mother cow, even eating the grass, has her like third eye on the calf. The calf can be wandering around, but the mother cow is always thinking of that calf. In the course of your day, you'll always have that deep meditation on Krishna, on divinity, on your spiritual life, even in the course of the minutia of existence in the course of the day. What do you think about that, Kastu?
No, I think it's great. I think you covered two areas, and one is that you need to make some practical boundaries for time that is going to be exclusively used for your practice, and that should be regulated. If it's not, if it's like occasional, it's not the same. It's got to be like steady, daily. So find that time, and I appreciate what Raghunath's saying. That doesn't even need to be a lot of time, even if it's just a short amount of time. If it's rich, like in other words, if your mind is deeply in it in those times, if you can set the rest of the world aside in those moments and do it in the morning, do it in the evening, that's going to have a really good strong effect, you know, in whether it's reading these texts. I would say you begin with reading these texts and chanting japa, you know, those practices will be very powerful for you. But and then again, but ultimately what Raghunath's saying, I think this is really important. It's not that maybe in the beginning, you see these two times of the day as very different. There's a time of day where I practice bhakti, and then there's the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. But as you mature and as you begin to your understanding will begin to shift. Your understanding will, sometimes it's you're looking at the same thing, and then you come back a year later, you're looking at the same thing, you see it a different way. Mm-hmm. And so you really need to come to that point where your entire day, you are just operating as a servant of Krishna 24/7. You know, so like what Raghunath's saying is like the mother cow seems like she's not focused on her calf, but she's always focused on the calf. It looks like you're just working in the world, but within, you're always thinking of Krishna. And all of your duties that seem like material duties, seem like they have nothing to do with your spiritual life or your life of bhakti. No, those duties, you're doing them on behalf of God. You're thinking of God when you're doing it. The people that you have to associate with or maybe even care for, that you will see them in relation to God. And whatever you do in relation to them becomes an offering, becomes part of your devotional service. There are certain activities, like often we quote like these 9, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Abhinavedam. These things like reading Bhagavatam, that's like inherently an activity of bhakti, or chanting Krishna's names, you're worshiping the rituals of the different, worshiping the forms of Krishna, etc. These are like activities that are inherently bhakti. You need those in your life. Those are powerful and effective and transformational, and ultimately they're a joy and so on. There are other activities in life that are not necessarily direct. They may be done by people that aren't practicing bhakti. They don't have a direct connection, but we find a way to connect them. Arjuna, Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna's on the battlefield. He found a way to connect his duties as a warrior. So work on that. Think about that. Ask questions about that. How do I see this in relation to Krishna? But if you set that as a goal in your mind and in your heart, that I want to be able to understand my entire day, not only these, definitely set aside those exclusive times, but then pray for the realization, the understanding, inquire from others. How do I see my entire day in connection to Krishna? And then that's what Prabhupada would say. We're thinking of Krishna 24 hours a day. You'll get there. I have no doubt.
I was thinking that's also because of that morning and evening sadhana that you create. Then whenever some hiccup in the day comes along, you'll be able to deal with it, in an appropriate way. It's not going to stress you out as much. You'll see it in a bigger picture. How can I react to this in a better way than I used to react to it? Your whole day becomes sort of Krishnified, spiritualized.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, thank you.
And especially with that cleaning, you're going to just,
Oh, yes, absolutely. Like listening to Kirtan while cleaning and even the show has definitely made such a difference. And, I have this problem thinking like, 1 round in the morning isn't enough. And that's like something in me, just a conditioned behavior of like wanting to do so much. So I'm like, well, is 1 round enough? Is just, reading 1 verse enough before like getting into the world? So yeah, that was very
do
helpful.
what you can. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And sometimes that quality is more than the quantity,
Right.
one really substantial round. And I'd just like to put it out there. One very simple way of a morning meditation is you get your japa malas and chant 1 very quality round, as if you're like calling divinity into your life and into your heart, and say with all sincerity, what's that going to take 15 minutes if you do it, 15 minutes. What a precious time of day that you will reflect on through the course of the day. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Haribol. All right. Eric Charles has slept in. So we're going to invite Melanie. Melanie from Vermont is here. Please come forward, Melanie. Welcome to the show, Melanie. And here, come close. Scooch closer. Look at the same color shirt.
I know. Look at us. Yeah.
And
Melanie.
Melanie, what's your story? How did you get into all this stuff, and how long?
Oh my goodness. So my story, it's long, but we're not going to do that. So
No, we're going to tell the
Okay,
abbreviated version, which only contains 3 sentences.
perfect. So I somehow stumbled into Kelly's class last fall.
Kelly Skinner, the bright light. Yes.
Yeah. And Bhakti is everything I've been looking for my whole life. And and so I can't imagine meeting anybody else and moving through this with her. And so since last fall, my life has completely transformed.
Wow.
And it's just been this incredible experience of growth, and then meeting all these like-minded people who are on the same path as me, and it's really incredible.
But do you listen to the podcast? That's what I was driving at.
Okay.
Enough of Kelly. What about me?
Okay, so I started listening a little bit when you were all
You may step down.
Apparently, she doesn't like it very much.
when you were in Colombia because
Okay.
Kelly was there, and
That's always Kelly. Kelly.
Kelly Skinner.
yep, yep,
That's okay.
yep, yep.
That's
And so I
okay.
listened a little then, and then I would just dabble here and there, and then probably I don't know 3 months ago, cleaning was like my nemesis. So
Oh, okay.
folding laundry was my nemesis.
Hate it.
Yeah. And so I decided that like I'm just gonna start binging with Wisdom of the Sages. And
Okay, now okay, here we go. Here we go.
yeah.
You can stay on board here.
And so I just listened and listened and listened, and my house is really clean. Like, really clean.
Let's get the mic a little closer, Rego.
Okay.
Really clean house.
I bet.
And-
Nice.
So where does that leave you now today? You've got a query, a
Mhm.
quandary.
Mhm. So I grew up in a conservative Christian household, whereas like my spirituality wasn't a choice. So it was like, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I have an 8-year-old daughter who's like the light of my life.
Okay,
And
a little closer, Rego. A little closer.
it's probably me. I probably keep going away.
Okay.
So my question is, how do I help nurture an invitation to spirituality for her? I want it to be her choice, and I want to honor it, and I want her to be able to know Krishna and know this path, but like also have her, spontaneously engage prema. Like I want her to do it on her own, in her own way.
Yeah.
And so
How old is she?
she's 8, and
Mhm.
she comes to
Wonderful.
kirtan, and she also like snuggles up with me when I chant japa in the morning, and so she's getting all sorts of experiences. She brought this little picture of Krishna to play mousetrap with us, and so like she's doing all these beautiful things, but I just don't know how to go about teaching that's like inviting instead of preaching.
Good question.
Beautiful. Maybe Karuna should lead a children's sage group.
That would be awesome.
That'd be incredible. Talking about games and toys and God. Good question.
Well, do you have more direct? I mean, I think I can share some things because I have lots of friends that raise kids, and I have lots of kid friends. But maybe you have a lot more experience parenting than I do.
You have a lot of kid friends.
I do. That surprised you? You don't think I like kids and kids like
Oh,
me?
you do like kids. You are kid friendly. My kids like you.
Oh, you don't think I should call them my friends? They're my friends.
Your
right?
kid. You see you walking around New York with a bunch of kids behind you. Oh God, let's play ball. All right. Here's how to, first of all, every kid is unique. All my kids, I've raised 2 step kids since they were little, and then I have 3 kids, and they're all completely unique. And some of them are incredibly magnetically attracted to it, especially at young ages when they're very devoted to you, dependent on you, etc. And my 2 birth children, they were sort of whatever I said, they just did. And I was talking to my son yesterday, and he's like, yeah, you used to teach us slokas at 4 years old. We learned slokas at 4 years old. And so because I'm learning slokas with my 8-year-old, now my 8-year-old, he's the toughest of them all. He's been the toughest kid. I thought he'd be the easiest. And he's just like, everything is a struggle. I'm going to have you start playing mridanga lessons. No. I was like, your older brother plays mridanga. No, I want to learn whatever. And it's just like everything. Let's learn a shloka. No. Finally, I got him starting like a few days ago. He's learned 2 shlokas, but it's like with the, but I got to bribe the kid. I bribe the kid for everything. Everything's a bribe with this child. But every now and then something pops up, he likes to sleep in the same bed with me, and he goes, hey, Dad, can we sing the Shringadeva prayers before we go to bed? And so that's like our regular thing. Every night we sing the Shringadeva prayers. So here's my first point I want to make. To the degree that you become spiritual, God conscious, Krishna conscious, whatever you want to call it, your kids follow your lead. Even when they get to become teenagers and rebel, they haven't forgotten. But at least at this time of your life, we're like shepherds, of course they're their own person and that can manifest. And sometimes people will argue, no, let them be completely whatever. No, I don't believe that. We're a parent. We're supposed to lead them. We're supposed to give them. We're supposed to practice our highest idea of ethics, of truth. Have them try to miss the trip ups that we take. That's what part of parenting is. And then within that, they can find their own talents and their own joys, etc. But that doesn't have to go outside of the sphere of a spiritual life, as well. So I feel like my job is to introduce them to a culture of spiritual life. I'm sharing my next door neighbors in the farmhouse is Kumari and Rupa. And these guys grew up and they're, in their 20s. She's about to have a baby. She's going to have a baby. I don't know if I was supposed to say that. I wasn't supposed to say that. Forget what I just said. Oh my God. I do this all the time. Anyway, zip that back. She told me. She didn't tell me it was a secret.
Okay, keep going.
All right, I'm going to take that back. These guys are such a beautiful couple, and they're both raised like devotees, and they're just like they're raised in a family that loved them, taught them Vedic arts. Like she's an incredible dancer, an incredible singer. He's an incredible musician, and they get together, and they're like a power couple. And just because their parents were power couples and their parents were just leading the ways, and the kids just picked up on it. And some kids pick up on it, and you can't get brokenhearted if they don't pick up on it when they come to age, because they will ultimately find their own thing. And ultimately, you can't give a person God. You can just lead them on a spiritual path. And ultimately, everybody has to choose for themselves who they want to be. To be a chosen person, you have to choose. You have to actually choose God. And everybody's going to come. Even if you have a great grandparents have all been worshiping Lord Krishna for generations, makes no difference. You still have to choose. Just because my father is a heart surgeon, I can't come over and say, hey, you need open heart surgery? I can help. Are you a surgeon? Are you trained? No, but my father was. You have to actually go do the schooling yourself. So they're all going to get this opportunity to choose, but we can assist them on their path. And then we have to understand, like, everybody has their own higher power that they have to like learn to connect with. And sometimes it's a direct path. Sometimes I've seen kids get into Bhakti even at a late age, like not from birth, like from 5 or from 15, and just say, it just touches them. And I've seen people grown up practicing Bhakti and not interested in whatsoever, ever. And as a loving parent, all you can do is love, but we can't be attached to the outcome. You just give love. You give the best thing you can do. Play kirtans in the car, sing songs, read the books, tell them stories, and be a shining example. Teach them slokas. It's fun. Make it fun for them. Kostu, you want to share anything? You have a lot of children, friend.
I do. I think the first most important thing you can do is introduce your daughter to Kelly Skinner. Okay.
There you go.
That's like the bright light of Vermont. But actually, seriously, I actually kind of mean that. In other words, everything Raghunath said was excellent and important and perfect. You can't force your child to accept anything, but you can give them every opportunity. And you don't quite know what's going to stick, so you try everything, like I would be, like when you go into people's lives and they say, that changed my life, when I met that person, or maybe when I attended that event, or when I went to India that time, or, I would, if I were a parent, I'd be trying to provide all these different opportunities with a faith that something's going to click. And they'll say, it was because I met that one person, it really made the difference. And I'd be trying to find those people that might really be able to relate or inspire. As Raghunath's saying, really, ultimately, the most important thing you can do. I remember at one point, Raghunath, that at one point when your kids were much younger, they weren't taking to it so much, and I remember you were going to Radhanath Swami and saying, I wish I could do, and he just said, you just live your life, you be a really good devotee, and you show them the example, and they'll come to it naturally. So didn't he tell you something like that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's hard when you don't have a community. And then I made a conscious choice that I'm not going to just go out and have an experience. I'm not just going to go to India and have a spiritual experience or go there. I'm going to actually take that spiritual experience very seriously at home. And then we started Super Soul Farm, and we started having retreats at home. And I started taking my kids on pilgrimage with me. And then it slowly started becoming part of their life, like part of their identity, you know, and it's the combination also of other kids who are spiritually minded. You know, especially I'm finding that with like my teenagers too. You know, my daughter just started dating another Krishna kid, and they have a sweet relationship, and they do sweet things together, and it's beautiful. And you know, my teenager, you know, went on this boys bus tour with a bunch of other teenagers. Hey, there's a lot of teenagers not going on boys bus tours with a bunch of other, having kirtan around America. And so when the kids just want to have fun and be and have friends. And if we can help them with a good community, I mean, my mom was the same way. She didn't want me hanging out with bad kids. They want them hanging out with kids that are going to help them, you know, make better choices when those teenage choices come up, those teenage forks in a road. So I think you'll do good, and I think a lot develops around your community. And for me, moving anywhere has a lot to do with the community I'm moving to. I know it has a lot to do with the people I'm going to be around whenever I move. I always take some serious consideration now, or that's advice I will give. Be careful where you move, even if it's idyllic. We're moving to whatever, Kauai. If you're not surrounded by really intimate people that can really bring you higher, I don't care if you're surrounded by beautiful banyan trees in the jungle and, you know, papayas growing everywhere. You need community, because we get weak, and when we get weak, we need a group of people that can help us when we're weak, and we got to help people when they're weak. And it's easy to break a twig, but it's hard to break 30 twigs. So we bond together like that.
All right.
Huh?
Do you ever do family weekends at Super Soul?
You know, we try to make it pretty kid friendly. We try to make it for 8.
A lot of dogs coming, that's for sure.
A lot of dogs, that's for sure. We make it very dog friendly. But yes, it's in the works. It's in the works.
Cool.
Thank you so much for joining us. All right, Bo.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, Bright Light. All right. And
That light can be so bright, it just outshines everything, right?
I know. Yeah.
It can make you feel like a glowworm in front of the sun.
Yes. And that's the power of transcendental wisdom. You know, transcendental wisdom, if you really embrace it and becomes part of your offering to people, that light, the lamp has no power. We're not saying like, oh yeah, I'm so powerful, I'm such a great guru. No, but when you plug the lamp in, the lamp appears to come alive. So if we stay connected to these wisdom traditions, it brings out things in us that is brighter than us if we're disconnected. And then if I do it, then I become light, and then I touch somebody else and they become light, and it goes on like that. And that is the beauty of the yoga system. But we got to be holding on. We got to be plugged in. So that brings us to
one more question.
That brings us to Sarah Worth. Come on down. Self-Worth Sarah. How are you? From Harmony House. Good to see you. In a lovely dress. Come on closer.
There she is.
Hello, how are you all?
Good to see you.
Happy to be here.
This is Sarah Worth from, she always comes on Zoom as Harmony House.
Harmony Mountain House. That is my business. We're in Harmony, New Jersey. Yeah, we're a small retreat center. So we do overnight retreats and looking to call more Bhakti in. So happy to welcome anyone from this community that feels called.
That's beautiful.
Harmony Mountain is called?
The Harmony Mountain House.
Mm.
Yeah.
And what's your Bhakti story? How you've been into it for a little bit? I've known you for a while.
Yeah, my Bhakti seed was planted at Plenitude in Puerto Rico.
That's right. You know what? I
Yeah.
totally disassociated in my mind from that, but now I remember. That's right. You're a Plenitude person, of course.
Yeah, shout out to Plenitude. There's a bunch of beautiful souls and devotees down there, and without my knowledge, kind of planted this seed. They're very subtle in their approach, like in a very beautiful way. And And it wasn't until about a year after I visited that they then introduced me to the podcast, and it all came full circle. So
Awesome.
very grateful to them.
They're planting seeds both figuratively and literally, because it's a big, beautiful permaculture farm in Puerto Rico in the mountains. And they're doing like incredible work. It's incredibly
We
impressive.
should make sure we go there next
We
year.
I really want to go there. I really want to go there. And you did transcendental time at Plenitude Farm?
Yeah, with school. And it was just a transformative experience. I was only there for a week and I'm still talking about it. We actually have a room in our house named Plenitude to honor them. So
All right.
Lots of plants in there.
Oh, thanks, Mara. Put on the board, harmonymountainhouse.com. So, question today.
So just a little bit of context. So clearly I own and run a retreat center. And so we're welcoming people and community on all the time. And as of right now, not a lot of Bhakti devotees, people who are even familiar with Bhakti yet, at least. So I'm hoping to share Bhakti with the people that come. And I try to teach very Bhakti-centered yoga classes and experiences. So I'm often asked, well, what is Bhakti? And I guess my question is, how can I describe it to people who are unfamiliar with it in a way that's both simplistic enough to understand, but also that honors the tradition itself? Because for me, it's a feeling. It started as a feeling, and I didn't even know what it was until about a year later, once I figured it out. And I sometimes find it hard to put into words. And I was just thinking about the episode with Jeffrey Armstrong and how the English language, it's not able to do justice, I think, to explaining a lot of things. And so I just want to know how I can use my words to do justice when I explain it.
How to explain Bhakti? Sort of like, how would you do it, Kostu? Like an elevator pitch almost about Bhakti, like concise, to the point, but where people get it. I mean, I know people want to sort of categorize. They need to like put that in their head. Like, what are you? You ever get that question? Like, what are you guys into?
Yeah.
And even like, are you a Hare Krishna? Like even that. So like they want to think they can figure out and then Google it and then try to understand you. How do you explain that, Kostub?
Once because at the Bhakti Center, sometimes I host children, the school, like, see, I got a lot of kid friends. Right?
A lot of kids friends. You're like the Pied Piper, just walking
busloads.
around, children dancing behind you.
But it's funny, but I did this because I host groups of, school groups there. And it really cracks you up when you think of it.
I'm just like picturing you and
I got photographs and all the kids having a good time. I'll show you.
All right.
So so I created a slideshow for the kids, and simple, step by step. And then one time I posted that slideshow like on Facebook, and like I started getting tons of response from adults that were like, "This is exactly what I need." Like I didn't know how to explain it. Like now I can explain it to like my yoga class, or now I can explain it to to my family or whatever. And so I could go through that. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Just point at your logical point after point.
All right, let's hear your slideshow.
Okay, here it goes. What do we believe? That we believe in Bhakti Yoga, which comes from the teachings of ancient sages who lived in the forests of India thousands of years ago, and they shared their wisdom through stories, and they wrote their teachings in books like the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, I'm trying to listen to this as a child now. I'm trying to see if this is going to work. Ready? Okay, go.
Okay, all right.
Keep going.
And then the teachings begin with the idea that within every living body, there's a soul, a spark of spiritual energy. The body is just a vehicle for the soul, and the soul spreads its consciousness throughout the entire body. All right?
I can buy that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can buy that.
Wherever we see birth and growth and reproduction and then growing old and dying, there must be a soul. And so that means that there's a soul, like that spark of life, conscious spark of life within every living body, whether it's a human or an animal or even a plant. Okay?
Yep.
And that the nature of every soul is that it's eternal, it's full of wisdom, and it's full of happiness. And the deepest happiness is love, which manifests through service and kindness and compassion. But our big mistake is when we think that we're a body. When this happens, we start to look for happiness outside instead of inside, and we lose touch with our true nature. And when that happens, we begin to feel negative emotions like anger and sadness and greed and confusion, and negative behaviors like fighting and cruelty and things like that. So that's when we're out of touch with our true nature, right? We start to search for happiness through external things, neglecting the spiritual happiness that lies deep within us. And that's where the analogy of the musk deer becomes really good. Are you familiar with that one, Sarah? The musk deer analogy?
Yeah. They're looking for a scent and they don't realize that they're the ones producing it.
Yeah,
Right.
and so they're running and searching and exhausting themselves and collapsing. That's what we're doing. We're searching for happiness, running everywhere, looking for it, not realizing that it lies within us, right? It's something that's there within us. And as long as we're out of touch with our true nature and looking for happiness through external things, we keep coming back in different bodies again and again and again. And that's called reincarnation. And then there's also this law of karma, that it encourages us to act in harmony with our true nature. So
You should make this into a little YouTube cartoon.
I already
You
have
know
all
what?
the images. Yeah,
This is good. And you could be a little cartoon of you.
well, it has
Saying it
illustrations.
and writing it on a board like illustrated.
I got it all set, Raghunath. I can show it to you. It's got little cartoon figures in it and everything.
Okay.
Okay, so we're almost through it. And within this world, there's a law of karma. It encourages us to act in harmony with our true nature. The law of karma rewards us for good behavior and punishes us for bad behavior. And the good and bad things that we do in this world, they come back to us. Okay? Now, yoga is a way of uncovering that inner happiness. That's our true nature. And yogis practice being kind and living simply so that we can have a peaceful mind. And when our mind is peaceful, we can go within and discover the happiness that's always there. And we can also come in contact with God, who's living within the heart of everyone. And then, now we're talking about God. Okay, we'll hold it. What is God all about? What do you believe about God? We believe God appears in many ways, and particularly in these three are really important. God appears as an energy. His energy is spread throughout the entire universe. So God is everywhere. God is within the heart of every living being. So God is within us all. But that God can also be known as a person or as the dearest friend, that there is the possibility and the opportunity to love God just like we love each other with a certain personal intimacy, that we can love God in that way. And we believe that God is the root of all existence and of all happiness and love. And we are like the leaves. If God is the root, we are like the leaves of a tree. If God is the root of a tree, we're like the leaves of the tree. When we uncover our true nature, we'll naturally feel love for God. And through loving God, we'll feel love for every living being. Just like when you water the root of a tree, it extends to every leaf. When we reconnect with God, then we connect with every living being. And these teachings are very ancient, but they were brought to us by a great teacher named Srila Prabhupada, who came to New York in 1965 and set up and shared these teachings. He taught that we could find true happiness through living a simpler, more natural way of life and dedicating one's energy in the service of God and all living beings. And his message of peace and goodwill resonated with many young people, and they came forward to become serious students of the Krishna Bhakti tradition. And that's what we follow and what we're presenting now. So what we do together is we come together, we meditate through music, like kirtan. We meditate quietly on our own, like through japa. We practice yoga in its different forms together. We discuss these philosophies and these topics so that we can get a better perspective on life and live a better life. And we celebrate a lot. We have festivals and we have storytelling and we have dances and dramas, but all in connection to that. So it's a colorful life. It involves beautiful cuisine, vegetarian foods, and ultimately we try to serve one another and lift one another up. We believe that we don't find that perfection of life or returning to God is something that we do alone. It's something that we do together. And so our faith is very much like a communal one in that sense. And that's the slideshow that I have. I can share it with you if you like.
Where do I sign up for this? How can I subscribe to your
That's what you've been
newsletter?
doing.
I want to join your club.
All right. So that's how I
That was
explain it.
that was beautiful, Kostuba.
Thank you, Raghunath.
Right?
Yeah. Thank you. That was really beautiful.
I thought that was Bhakti yoga for dummies. I get it now. I understand. That was beautiful.
Thank you, Raghunath. So hopefully,
Are you going to post that on Facebook? We want to know. People want
I
inquiring
can
minds want
repost
to
it
know.
on Facebook if you want. You can go to Kostuba Das on Facebook. I'll repost it today if you
Yeah,
want.
put it on Wisdom of the Sages one as well, and then we'll share it.
Oh, on the Wisdom of Sages one. Okay, I'll try to put it on the Wisdom of Sages Instagram if I could see if I could make that work. A
Good.
simple
And
presentation of what we
and someone's requesting Mayor if you could post that on the Patreon page too. Once he posts that, post the link for it.
Oh, okay. I'll put it on Patreon. Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank
Wow,
you.
and I think we're out of time.
Thank you, Sarah. I love you. You know, we got to come out to the Harmony House someday. We're gonna
Yeah.
Harmony Mountain House.
Please come. We would love that.
Thank you.
This
So
was
many
fun.
great people in New Jersey. New Jersey's loaded with Bhakti
New
yogis. They're all
Jersey's
over the
loaded
place.
with people, and because of that, there's loaded with Bhakti yoga people.
Yeah.
But that's our show, brother.
All right.
That's our show. We got another ecstatic day. We're going to wind down this Bhakti Stock Festival. And yeah, I want to thank everybody who joined us live. Look at this beautiful crew here.
Nice.
Turn that music loud, my friend. Yeah, some of the faces. Yeah, Steve Amari, Baba Nanda. Crystal's here. Rachel. Thanks for everyone for joining us. If you want to join us live again, you know what to do. Email Mara, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. This is a community-supported podcast. If you feel like you're getting something out of this podcast, please contribute. Thanks for everyone that does. You go to patreon.com/wisdomofthesages. Whatever you give, it's really appreciated. And that's how we keep this thing going. And we've been going now. We're on episode 800 and something or other. Mara, what episode are we on?
818.
818.
Pretty good.
And now, Karuna's 9.
And Karuna's 9. So you got to, if you're new to this, you got some binge listening to do. Start cleaning your house. It is possible. Sierra caught up. You just got to listen. We want 7 a day out of you guys. I think if you listen to 7 a day, we'll really transform you.